Hello and welcome. So I've been receiving a ton of questions on what the Payroll Protection Program is. So I figured I'm going to make a video about it and then go over the loan process itself, how to fill out the application. So I'm going to start by going over all the details of this program, who qualifies, who doesn't, kind of the overview, and then I'm going to swing into the application process, which they recently, as of today is April 1st, made it much easier. You no longer have to go into a bank to apply. You can fill out a form online. So it's much easier. So I'm going to go over these details first. And with the help of this PowerPoint that my payroll company sent me, I'm going to go over all the nuances, and hopefully that'll answer a bunch of questions for you. If you do have additional questions, feel free to comment below and I'll answer all the comments to the best of my ability. But let's get right in. So the Paycheck Protection Program, also known as PPP, is a $350 billion provision for small businesses. It's a new type of loan, and this loan is eligible for up to 100% forgiveness if spent in the correct way, and as long as your expenses don't change. I'll get into that later. So this is only available for qualifying small employers. I'll also get into that, and the loans are for between February 20th and June 30th, 2020. So here are the eligible small businesses. A small business concern meets the SBA's existing definition of a small business concern. No more than 500 employees. They recently changed this. It's no more than 500 employees per location. They changed that because the hospitality industry is getting hit super hard. So hotels and things like that with less than 500 employees per location now qualify. And your NAICS code must begin with 72, which nearly every business will qualify in that regard. So here's some other eligibility. The business must be in business before February 15th. So, I mean, it's got to be more than 3 months old. You have to have employees or independent contractors. So you could potentially be a single member LLC. If you are an S corporation, you will count as an employee within that corporation, even if there's just one person in the business. If you're a single member LLC without an S corporation tax status, unfortunately, you won't apply to this PPP eligibility. So make a good faith certification of the following. The uncertainty of the current economic conditions makes the loan request necessary to support ongoing operations. Basically what that means is they don't want you to take out a loan unless you need it. So it's basically saying don't just request a loan to try and get some free money, which I know a lot of people are definitely going to try. You might as well apply either way, but this is part of the guidelines. The borrower must use the loan proceeds to retain workers and maintain payroll or make mortgage, lease, or utility payments. A big concern here, and a repeating thing I keep seeing, is they want you to be able to retain employees. Even if you lay people off, they want you to be able to hire them back on once this craziness goes away. The borrower cannot have an application pending for a loan of the same purpose. So you can't have an application pending already for payroll or an existing SBA loan pending or active to cover these expenses. But you can apply separately for that EIDL emergency $10,000 grant. Those two can be separate. They just can't apply towards the same thing. Basically, you can't double dip. Here's some characteristics of the loan. The maximum loan amount is 2.5 times average monthly payroll. So I'll go over some math on that later. The availability of credit from other sources does not disqualify eligibility. There are no application fees or closing costs. No personal guarantees or collateral is required. The maximum interest rate is 4%, and the term of the loan is 10 years. For the first 6 months, all the payments are deferred, and that can be extended up to 1 year if you just request to defer them 1 year. And up to 100% of this loan can potentially be completely forgiven. And I'm going to go into that as well in just a couple minutes here. So here is the maximum loan amount, 2.5 times total monthly payments of payroll costs during the 1 year period before the date of this loan. So it's not necessarily the year of 2019. It'd be whatever month you want to use, probably March 1st, 2019 to March 1st, 2020 would be the days that you would use for this. So payroll costs include wages, tips, vacation pay, group health benefits, severance, retirement benefits, state and local taxes on employee compensation. What isn't included is compensation in excess of $100,000 per employee. So if an employee earns up to $100,000, you will only get compensation for $100,000 of that. If they make $200,000, you can only get $100,000 worth. What also is excluded is the FFCRA paid leave, which is part of the second act of the relief program. So that's for people who had left their job already. Here's some loan forgiveness information, and this is what people are really excited about. The forgiveness is equal to the amount of qualifying expenses incurred in the first 8-week period after organization of the PPP loan. So qualifying expenses include payroll costs, rent payments, mortgage interest, and utility payments. The forgiven amounts are not taxable. This is a question that I keep getting asked. Am I gonna get this, let's say $10,000 loan and then have to pay $3,000 in taxes? No, it's a tax-free grant on the forgivable portion. The forgivable amounts are also interest-free, and the potential to have 100% of the loan forgived is there as well. So here's a loan example. Let's say a company has $900,000 in annual payroll. The eligible loan amount is $187,500. How you get that number is you take $900,000 divided by 12 and multiply that by 2.5. So in the first 8 weeks of the loan, this is an example of what the company incurs: $150,000 of payroll, $8,000 of rent, $2,000 of utilities. So that's $160,000 of qualified expenses. And then the loan forgiveness of that is $160,000. That means the loan balance is $27,500 over a 10-year occurrence with a 4% interest rate. So let's go over that in further detail. The eligible loan amount is $187,500. So that's the total loan that you're receiving with that 4% interest rate. In this example, this company has $160,000 of qualified expenses that go towards that loan. The remaining portion, the difference between the $187,000 and $160,000, is $27,500. That's the portion that they would have to pay interest on and repay, because that's not going towards qualified expenses. That's just regular expenses that might go towards anything, and you need to pay interest back on that. This isn't going to be the case for all businesses, because some will have 100%, some might have much more than this, depending on how many qualified expenses there are. So here is the limit for reductions in headcount. So if your payroll expenses go down, there's a forgiveness factor that means the forgiveness amount goes down proportionally. So in order to get that, you take the average number of full-time employees during that first 8-week period after the organization of the loan, divide that by the average number of full-time employees during the 8-week period prior to the loan, and that's the forgiveness factor. So if you had 10 employees before and then 8 employees after, the forgiveness factor is 80%, and that's what the decrease would be. So here's another example on that. Loan forgiveness is reduced dollar for dollar by decreases in employees' compensation greater than 25% from a prior quarter. So that's an addition to the payroll factor. You may have to pay more if wages go down more than 25%. This also excludes employees making more than $100,000 per year. So here's another example with limited forgiveness. Let's go back to the $160,000 eligible expenses. This company laid off 5 of its 20 employees, so the forgiveness factor is 15 divided by 20. And then also this company reduced 3 of its employees' pay by $5,000, each in excess of 25% threshold. That's an additional $15,000 reduced. The adjusted forgiveness for this company would be $105,000. So how to apply for this PPP loan? This is actually a little bit old, because now you can apply through this online form. For some reason, you can't fill it out directly online, so I downloaded this Chrome extension called PDF Filler so I could fill it out online, but let's dive right in. It's actually fairly simple. This top part is a little bit wonky because it doesn't actually have all of the potential options, but the options here are nonprofit, vet organization, tribal, independent contractor, and self-employed. It doesn't have S Corp, which is very strange. So if you are an S Corp, I would just put it on self-employed. This is going to be a little bit off because I'm not going to spend the time filling out exactly. The business legal name, if you're an LLC or S Corp, that's going to be the name of your business. If you're an independent contractor, that's just going to be your name. The DBA or trade name, that is only if you've registered a DBA or trade name. For me, for my business, I have not, so I'm just going to keep that business legal name. You can leave that blank. This also might be a trade name. Let's say if you're an independent contractor, the entity would be your name, but let's say you do business as John's Handyman Service, and that's registered, then you put it under DBA. If it's not registered, you don't put that there. If you're an LLC with a EIN number, then you put that here. If you're an independent contractor or sole proprietor, you put your social security number here, phone number, email, primary contact. That's all pretty straightforward. Average monthly payroll, and this is what really matters here. Again, if you are a single member LLC and not an S Corp, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to apply here. But let's say, in order to get average monthly payroll, obviously you take salary divided by 12. That's your average monthly payroll. Let's say the average monthly payroll is $10,000. You multiply that by 2.5. It's 25,000. And then number of jobs is the number of employees you have. Let's just say 5, for example. And again, if you're a single member LLC, this is going to be 0. If you're an S Corp, that would be 1. You're also going to put in the contractors that you have hired here. Purpose of the loan, payroll, rent, mortgage, utility, other, explain, check all that apply. It's pretty self-explanatory. Here we go on to the ownership information. Anyone with more than 20% ownership of the business needs to have their information here. So you'll put your name, your title, percentage of ownership, that owner's social security number, and that owner's address for everyone applicable. Here's some basic questions. Is the business owner presently suspended or debarred from working with federal government agencies? We're just going to say no. Is the business currently delinquent on any SBA loans? We'll say no. Is the business or any owner an owner of any other business or have common management with any other business? So this would mean things like, let's say you own 2 LLCs. That would be considered a yes. And if you own 2 LLCs, you want to fill out one single form. I read in a separate spot that if you have multiple businesses with common ownership, meaning the ownership structure is exactly the same, let's just say you own 100%, then you fill out one form as if they're both the same business. So that's yes or no, depending. Has the business received an EIDL loan? If you've applied, that does not mean you've received it. These X's are going all over the place. Are you presently subject to an indictment, criminal information, arraignment, or other means by criminal charges? Hopefully not. Within the last 7 years, have you been charged with a felony or misdemeanor? Let's also hope not. Are you a U.S. citizen? Oh, also these spots need to be initialed. On to the next page. So we're almost done here. The current economic uncertainty makes this loan necessary. So this is what we were talking about earlier. They want you to only take out this loan if you absolutely have to. So that's up to you whether you decide if you have to or not. The funds are used to retain workers and maintain payroll or mortgage payments. Again, they want you to use this on qualified business expenses. They don't want you to take this money and go on vacation, and you likely will have to prove what this money went to. If you get accepted, this is saying that you will be able to supply documents that explain your payrolls and other expenses. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have to have proof. Loan forgiveness will be provided for the sum of documented payroll costs, covered mortgage, interest payments, covered rent payments, and covered utilities. It's anticipated that not more than 25% of the forgiven amount may be for non-payroll costs. You understand? During the period of February 15th, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020, the application has not and will not receive another loan under this program. Again, they don't want you getting multiple loans on the exact same thing. And there's two different types of recovery you can get for payroll. There's this PPP, and then there's another type that is this deferral of Social Security taxes and employee retention tax credit, which I'll go over in a separate video, but you can only choose one or the other. For most people, this PPP program is going to be the best bet. You certify that this information is accurate. The lender will calculate the loan amount. And then all you have to do is sign it, date it for all the owners of the business, and then you're good to go. You're applied. So they're claiming that this program is going to be up and running within the next few days, so we'll see if that's the case. I'm pretty excited about it. I think that this will be a huge help. Again, if you have any questions about this program, feel free to drop comments below. I've been doing tons of research on this, and I'll answer to the best of my ability, or I'll give you a suggestion on at least where to look. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like this video. I'm going to be posting more content about these relief programs, so make sure to subscribe and stay updated. Till next time, thanks for watching. Hope you have a profitable day.